Another little webinar to help you with task 8 in your Christmas Carol booklets. In this scene, you'll see that Scrooge is shown a gang of thieves laughing about the things they've stolen from a dead man. Let's read the extract. Joe went down on his knees for the greater convenience of opening it, and having unfastened a great many knots, dragged out a large and heavy roll of some dark stuff.
"What do you call this?"
said Joe.
"Bed curtains."
"Ah," returned the woman, laughing and leaning forward on her crossed arms, "bed curtains."
"You don't mean to say you took 'em down, rings and all, with him lying there?"
said Joe. "Yes, I do," replied the woman. "Why not?"
"You were born to make a fortune,"
said Joe.
"and you'll certainly do it."
"I certainly shan't hold my hand when I can get anything in it by reaching it out, for the sake of such a man as he was. I promise you, Joe," returned the woman coolly. "Don't drop that oil upon the blankets now."
"His blankets?"
asked Joe. "Who else's do you think?" replied the woman. "He isn't likely to take cold without 'em, I dare say."
"I hope he didn't die of anything catching, eh?"
said old Joe, stopping in his work and looking up. "Don't you be afraid of that," returned the woman. "I ain't so fond of his company that I'd loiter about him for such things if he did. Ah, you may look through that shirt till your eyes ache, but you won't find a hole in it, nor a threadbare place. It's the best he had, and a fine one too. They'd have wasted it if it hadn't been for me."
"What do you call wasting of it?"
asked old Joe. "Putting it on him to be buried, to be sure," replied the woman with a laugh. "Somebody was fool enough to do it, but I took it off again. If calico ain't good enough for such a purpose, it isn't good enough for anything. It's quite as becoming to the body. He can't look uglier than he did in that one." Scrooge listened to this dialogue in horror. As they sat grouped about their spoil, in the scanty light afforded by the old man's lamp, he viewed them with detestation and disgust, which could hardly have been greater though they had been obscene demons marketing the corpse itself. When old Joe, producing a flannel bag with money in it, told out their several gains upon the ground.
"This is the end of it, you see. He frightened away every one away from him when he was alive, to profit us when he was dead."
So Year 10, let's have a little look at the questions that we were asked, and maybe first just see if there's any tricky words in that scene. First of all, some of the words that might cause you a few problems are loiter, which just means hang around. Threadbare means old or worn out, thin and tattered with age. Calico is a type of material used quite frequently, and it still is. It's a kind of plain, unbleached cotton. Dialogue just means a conversation between two people. Spoils, the loot or the takings. So a gang of robbers might have a spoil or a loot. Detestation just means to really detest or hate someone. So Scrooge looks at them with detest because they're acting so horribly. Obscene demons is just disgusting. And using the simile demons suggests that they may be agents of the devil, but they're completely vile people. Marketing the corpse is kind of showing it off to be sold. Okay, so the first question that you were asked to look at is, what is most disgusting about the things they've stolen? Well, if you ever look through the scene, I highlighted in yellow for you on the extract itself all of the things they stole, and they are really, really disturbing. First of all, this old hag of a lady, she actually takes his bed curtains down while he's still lying dead on the bed. So he's literally there, and she takes the trouble, and she has to carefully undo all of the rings to get these bed curtains down. So that would have been quite tricky. And even Joe actually questions that. "You don't mean to say you took him down, rings and all, with him lying there?" said Joe. "Yes, I do," replied the woman. "Why not?" She doesn't really care at all, and she seems sort of completely untroubled by this behaviour. She also actually takes the blankets off him when he's laying in the bed, and then literally takes the shirt off the dead man's body. "His blankets?" asked Joe. "Who else's do you think?" replied the woman. "He isn't likely to take cold without him, I dare say." And she seems to think it's perfectly okay to take his shirt because they'd have wasted it if it hadn't been for me. "What do you call wasting it?" asked old Joe, putting it on him to be buried in. So she's actually sort of absolutely remorseless about taking this shirt off. And you think that it would have been a really creepy thing to do, to first of all steal into a man's house, to take his things, and then literally not only steal the things around him, but actually take the very things off his body. So how do they seem to feel about this dead man? Well, the first thing you'd notice, of course, is that they're actually laughing throughout this scene. They seem quite happy to steal from him, and they show absolutely no emotion or regret at all for what they're doing, no remorse at all for stealing from him. She actually infers that he deserves it, though, when she says, "I certainly shan't hold my hand when I can get anything in it by reaching out, for the sake of such a man as he was." And for the sake of such a man does suggest that she's judging him, that she believes that he was the sort of man that deserves this treatment. Obviously, they're laughing and joking all the time. Ha ha, laugh the same woman, and that runs all the way through the scene. The woman suggests that being able to gain from him now, so to be able to take things from him, actually makes up in some way for the fear he inspired when he was alive. And Joe says he frightened everyone away from him when he was alive to profit us when he was dead. Ha ha ha. And there's a sort of sense that there's almost a sort of balance in that he was horrible when he was alive, but at least they're gaining from him now. And they also, even on no level do they show that even the normal sort of emotions that you might feel for a stranger's death, it's obvious that they don't actually know this man terribly well and they're not close to him, but to be actually quite jolly about his death is obviously quite disturbing. Scrooge himself is described as thinking that they're obscene demons. And the characters shown in this scene are certainly vile. They're certainly unpleasant creatures because they're literally picking over the corpse like vultures, picking over the dead man. The simile of seeing demons does suggest that they're completely disgusting. And it is, for any of us, quite horrific to see people laughing and joking as they literally steal the shirt off a dead man's back. But the dialogue does characterize them in an almost exaggeratedly cruel and careless way. So it's kind of almost exaggerating them as characters all the way through. And perhaps that's to get you to question, does Scrooge actually deserve to be treated this way? He's getting a vision of his possible future, you remember. This isn't the actual future. This isn't his actual moment of reality. This is a possible future for him. If he doesn't change, if he stays in the same way and he doesn't learn the lessons he's being asked to learn, would he deserve this fate? He has lived a cruel, selfish, solitary life. He's never shown kindness to others. So would it be right that he doesn't inspire kindness when he's dead? And this would be a real big wake-up call for anyone, wouldn't it? To see people actually enjoying the fact that you're dead. So Scrooge, looking at this scene, is horrified by them, but perhaps it's the kind of wake-up call he actually needs. I hope you've found that rather obscure little scene. It's kind of one of the more obscure little moments in the story. I hope you found this little webinar helpful in letting you see why it's a bit significant. Take care, everybody. Thank you.